Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media or reach out to Gary Jones, the founder of Grow Radio. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments, and this is a very different Mic Drop Moments because we're actually in the middle of a summit at the time of recording, but I've invited two of my Amplify Experience members, Rebecca Heald and Nicky Price, to interview me. And it's a role reversal because usually I'm the one asking all the questions. So Rebecca, do you just want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, my name is Rebecca Heald. I am currently a Senior Solutions Architect at Capgemini.
Thank you. And Nicky?
My name is Nicky Price and I'm a transformation therapist and success mindset coach.
Okay, so ladies, the floor is yours. You can ask me anything. Who wants to go first?
I'm going to jump in with one. I'd love to know, because I love the concept of flame and things like that, what really sets you on fire right now?
What really sets me on fire? The sunshine, definitely. That's a non-business thing. Always the sunshine. So I'm not a winter person, and I sort of find my energy from the sun, from sunshine, from warm weather. I'm not a cold weather person, but actually from a business perspective, it's getting my teeth stuck into something new or innovative. I also, because I create the opportunities for women in business through my memberships, I think it's seeing somebody else fly. And if I feel I've had a part of something, or I've got somebody speaking, like I've got my speakers today, and I think, oh my God, they've got it, they've nailed it. Oh my gosh, they're flying. And then I see their confidence grow. I see everything about them just light up. And then I see them, getting loads of messages, or them coming back and saying, oh my God, I got a brand new client because I spoke at that event or did that. That just really lights my fire. And that's my sort of what I call my passion thing. My mission is to create more women in business role models to inspire others. And if I can see them do that and witness it, I'm sat there like a proud mom. Yeah.
Thank you. Nicky?
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I was watching your 10-year program, which was just beautiful, and also it showed us a lot about you and what you've done. And I hadn't been aware. I knew you loved Coventry City, but I hadn't been aware that there was so much of a football emphasis. And I want to ask you, you built that beautiful relationship with your dad. You got the MBE. What was that moment like, telling your dad?
I think it was really bizarre because when you get an MBE, you're not told in advance that you've got it. You're notified that you've been awarded it. You get to accept it. I was 3 weeks late, so I wasn't too sure if I'd missed the deadline. But actually seeing it just blow up on social media as it did, and I think it was the 27th of December, and suddenly at about 10:30 at night, my social media blew up. And I'd moved in with my parents because I was helping care for my dad, who was terminally ill with cancer. And that moment, I thought, I cannot go to sleep on this news. If I don't tell my dad and he doesn't wake up tomorrow, I'll never get that chance again. So to me, it was waking him up. He obviously thought something was wrong. What's happened? What's happened? My mum woke up, was like in a blur. And then I told them, and then they just wanted to sit up and talk for hours. That it was just so special, that moment, and being able to share it with my dad. And I mean, he did live for another couple of months, but having that special moment, and then going to the post office the next morning to get the newspapers, and my mum loudly announcing all around the shop to everyone that was in there, oh, do you think your MBE will be in this newspaper, Sandra? It was as if she wanted to tell the world, but we brought all the newspapers back for my dad to see.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Oh, that is lovely. I'm going to pick up a question from the chat from Adriana. You spent years creating rooms where women get to be seen and celebrated, like you're celebrating your MBE. Was there ever a moment in your own journey where you felt unseen, and how did that shape the kind of platform you went on to build?
Yeah, I think it was back in my corporate career. I always put myself forward for things. I always worked my hardest. My mum used to say to me, that they'll always flog a willing horse. was her expression. And I would be the first at my desk. I put everything I got into everything, and I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel that I was being seen for what I got or what I put into something. And I think too often when we don't feel seen, we vote with our feet and we walk. And, you know, I left the corporate space because I wasn't seen. I felt that I had to go on a journey. And, you know, in other roles I didn't feel seen. So I think starting my own business, the power was back in my own hands. And then if I wasn't seen, that was my fault, nobody else's. So that was probably, I think, the point at which I felt that if I'm going to do something, and I didn't know what it was, I had no idea what it was, and I didn't really understand what personal brand was at the time. But actually, that decision to leave corporate and to step out on my own was probably the biggest decision I made. And then, you know, the trajectory was my own, really.
Great.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm just going to do one more just from that 10-year thing. You know, COVID took away the very thing that the Women Who brand was kind of built around. So, you know, having rooms full of live events and people, the energy, and a lot of businesses just didn't survive that. So what was going through your mind when everything stopped, and how did you find the clarity to go online and build something completely new from it?
I don't think I realised that everything had stopped initially because my dad had passed away on the 11th of March, and I'd been at an event on the 9th and had to leave early because he was given 48 hours. And I remember leaving that event. They were installing hand sanitizer machines as we were leaving. And everyone thought, oh, it's only going to be a couple of weeks. And so we were grieving for my dad and putting in plans. And it wasn't until I got the call from the funeral parlour saying you can only bring two people to the funeral, you can only have 10 minutes, no cars, nothing. And I realised that things were going to be very drastic. And I got an event coming up, and I contacted the hotel where the event was being held and said, I don't think this event's going to go ahead. You know, I'd paid money, they wouldn't let me back out the contract, I'd taken ticket money, Eventbrite wouldn't refund that until after the event. So I was sitting there thinking, what can I do? And I realised that there was always a plan B, there's always a plan C, you can always do something. So the first thing I did was put the awards online and thought, luckily my AV crew had a studio right by where I live, and they turned it into an online studio. So they emptied their warehouse and built a stage set. So that was the first thing. So that was just meant to be. I connected them and said, can I deliver my awards from there? And can we stream it through Zoom? Yeah, it was done. You have to ask the questions. And then secondly, I thought, right, how can I reach these people and create something different? And that's when I launched the Let's Get Visible Accelerate Academy, although it wasn't called that then, it was called the Summit Academy, I can't remember what. And that's when I launched it. And I said, I've got 10 places, who wants to join? And literally within 24 hours, all 10 places are gone. So I opened another 10 places and they went. And then I opened another 10 places and they went. And each year, I open up the academy just twice a year, and I only open a limited number of spaces because I give the speaking opportunities and everything else. But I think that the COVID actually did me a huge favour. So I take the benefits from it. It gave me time to grieve for my dad, which I needed. It also gave me the opportunity to create something that was national and online. Why not?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That's such a good story. Yeah. Sorry, Nikki, were you going to say something?
No, Bex, your turn.
So I'm going to take again another one from the chat from Tara. So Tara has asked, looking back, what would you say is the biggest regret or mistake you've made in business?
Oh, biggest mistake was my first business, solicitor's practice. There's a lot. I made all my mistakes in that business. I really did. I think the first one was not understanding cash flow, and I ran out of money and couldn't pay the salaries after 3 months trading. So I quickly learned about cash flow and what that meant. We traded for 8 years, so all was fine. But the other thing, I put my staff ahead of my own personal health, well-being, and everything else. I was the one that didn't take any holidays. I was the one that worked till midnight. I was the one that worked through Christmas, special occasions. I missed so much. And I think I didn't realize that being self-employed, you don't have to burn yourself out in that way. You don't have to give everything to everybody else. I always said I'd never employ anybody again because of that. And I used to be an employment law solicitor, but all my mistakes I made in that business. So when I started this business, I thought, right, okay, what didn't work in that business? Okay, I've got to make sure that I protect myself. And I've still made loads more mistakes. I call them learning curves. But I will always hold my hands up and say, that didn't work, or, I've done too much, or I'm not feeling quite right, or I will cancel things or say no, and I'm saying no more often. It's a full sentence.
Brilliant. Love that. Sandra, can I ask you, you've spent 10 years building a community of women who just kind of show up, they back each other. That's what drew me to you in the first place, to be part of this community. And you encourage the women to just not play small anymore. What's the vision for the next 10 years, the next chapter of your life, doing what you're doing?
Well, I'm not retiring, that's for one thing. I'm not giving up. So the fact that I've franchised in Womanhood, that's not going to be an instant thing. That's a slow process, getting the right people in the right regions. I want to create a legacy. I want what I've created to carry on, but I want to teach other people how to do it. Why should I keep all my knowledge to myself? Why don't I share it and let other people create those communities as well? So that's what the franchise bit. I want to get my little house in Italy. I want to write rom-coms, blame Shelley Wilson for that. But I also want to keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm an innovator, naturally an innovator. So I'm always thinking up new ideas. But community is really important to me. And seeing when I run one of my awards events and seeing the joy and the support everybody else has for each other, when I put a speaker on my stage and I see everyone gravitate towards that speaker because of their stories that they've shared, some of them quite vulnerable as well. Some of these stories are hard to share, but I want to give people the permission, the space, and the confidence to know that their story matters. Because if one person hears that story and thinks, oh my God, that's me too, if she can do it, I can, then that's mission achieved, mission accomplished. And I don't want to stop that. So my community is really important to me.
Yeah. So I say I loved your Mic Drop Live. That's the first event I came to at the beginning of this year. And obviously I joined in Amplify Experience and really enjoyed that experience too. How did you come up with the idea of Mic Drop Live?
Mic Drop Live was something I've been playing with for quite a while, and I thought, how would it be if we flipped it? Instead of the audience just sitting there and taking it all in, wouldn't it be great if the audience could have a go? How often do you go on a course or on training day or something like that, and you learn the theory, but then you go home and the notes gather dust and you think, oh, I'll do that one day. Well, I wanted to make it that day. So we had a few workshops in the morning. I said, right now it's your turn. And, to give the audience the power, I gave them the microphones to do podcasts so they could interview each other. I gave them the microphones so they could come and deliver something on stage for 5 minutes. I gave them the feeling of what it felt like to be on that stage. And what was so surprising was everyone who spoke, everyone was different. Everybody's story was different. And it was really powerful in that room. I absolutely loved it. One of the best events. And that's why I'm doing it again in September.
Brilliant. We've got a really good question here that I didn't know about you actually. It's from Sarah Harris. She says, you've spoken before about how you used to hide in the toilets at networking events when you first started out in business, which I don't know about anybody else here, but I find that absolutely amazing to believe. But now that you run the Women Who and promote visibility, you offer visibility opportunities to women, how on earth did you transition from someone who hides in the toilets to doing what you do?
I often say I'm the most extroverted introvert. And yeah, I do feel nervous sometimes when I go into new rooms. And my strategy was either get there early, watch everyone go in and wait until they've all sat down, or get there and just go and hide in the loo until it was time to sit down. But slowly, I believe confidence can be built over time. Slowly, but slowly, I make an effort to go in and speak to at least 3 people I don't know. And I always look for the people on their own because they're probably feeling exactly the same as I do. And just the more you do something, the more repetitive, the more confidence you build over time. Yeah.
Love that.
How much?
Ladies, we're nearly out of time. Rebecca, I'm going to let you have the last question, and then we're going to have to wrap up this episode very, very soon. But I will come back to both of you before we do. Rebecca, what's your question?
How much would you say empathy has impacted the success of your business?
Empathy is a tough one because when you're standing on stage, you don't realize, and you've been doing it for 25 years, as I have, and I say, come and speak on my stages, you'll build the confidence as you go. Trying to be empathetic with the people who are doing it. How can I take myself back 25 years? So what I did was I learned to sing. And that was my thing. That was my thing. So every time I stand up to sing, my hands go clammy, my stomach's churning. I'm thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And all those thoughts allow me to have empathy with my speakers. So I'm now placing myself into as many uncomfortable, awkward situations as I can. So I keep having that empathy with people. And right now I'm entering awards because I want to know, I haven't entered awards for years. I want to know what people are going through when they enter my awards. I want to know their uncertainties. That sitting in the room and your name isn't called, how does that feel? Not even getting to be a finalist. Am I angry? Am I bitter? Am I, all those things I want to feel exactly as my clients and the people in my world are feeling. So I'm pushing myself to situations, and I also learn something new every year. I won't be repeating snowboarding, therefore, those sorts of things. But certain things and as I say, learning the singing has put me right back into that very, can I do this?
Thank you.
And sadly, we have run out of time. I'm going to ask you both to maybe leave the audience with something you want to share, maybe stemming from one of the questions you've asked me, or just making an observation. What would you like to share, Nicky?
I think the observation I want is just that last one. That was such a good question, and not one I'd think of, about the empathy, because knowing what it feels like to enter your awards for the first time, to put yourself back in the situation that sometimes, as people who are coaches, mentors, who have gone through what it is that we coach about, to take ourselves back a moment and just be there, just to put ourselves in that situation. I think that's really, really powerful, really powerful.
Thank you. Rebecca?
Yeah, and the reason why I asked it is I definitely felt the empathy from you when I first came to Mic Drop Live, and I was ready to run. So thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to speak to you and have the opportunity to interview you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca Heald and Nicky Price. And thank you, everyone, for listening.